Hey guys, welcome to the Homestead. So today we're going to talk about some comments that have been left over the last couple of years, I think, since I've done that video about living without refrigeration. And it has been a very popular video. It now has approaching 700,000 views, it has over 3,000 comments, and has been a great source of entertainment for me because I'm watching these comments and I can't believe some of the things that are being said. A lot of great points of wisdom. And so I think about a year ago, I don't know, some months ago, I started copying and pasting some of these really good comments, just a few of them, and saving them to read in a later video because I thought some of them were so good and had so much truth in them. It really is amazing to me how we as Americans who live in a Western society think that everything has to be a certain way and that if you don't do it this certain way, it might make you sick or kill you. We have this definite, I think it's one of the reasons why this whole COVID thing went the way it did in just all aspects because of people's paranoia, just outright paranoia about germs and disease and all of this stuff. And we live in a time today where people are so paranoid. The homes that are built today, so many of your homes, if we get into hard times and you don't have the ability to have electricity anymore, your homes are going to be like death traps. Some of these new modeled homes, they're made so airtight that you can't. There's no breathing in the houses. You know, a guy, an old timer back here where I live, said he used to make all the houses with green oak. All the houses must be made with green oak. Number one, you can put, nails into green oak, whereas it's real hard to put nails into hardened oak, old oak, aged oak. But the point was so that when the wood dried, it would allow, the contraction would allow spaces between the wood and would allow that home to breathe. And that would help keep you cooler in the summertime. You wanted that home to breathe, but today homes are not made that way. They're made completely and totally airtight, and you have a ventilation system, HVAC system, that allows that home to breathe. What if you lost that? What if you were not able to have that for your home anymore? Would your home breathe or would it become a death trap? Basically, you'd have to open all the windows. And some people's homes don't even have windows that open anymore. No one opens windows anymore. Why? What do you need windows to open it for? If you have a ventilation system, HVAC system that puts fresh air into the house all the time, you don't need. It's going to be a CO2 death trap. I mean, we do things very different today. Very, very different. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to point out some of these comments and talk about them and get your feedback because I think we're heading into a time, we're already seeing the rolling blackouts. They're already happening. So what happens if the grid absolutely goes down? What if it goes down, you have no more electric, you have no more ways to heat and cool your home, and you have no refrigeration? What are you going to do? People have lived without refrigeration for thousands of years. It's only in the recent modern history do we have this luxury. Let's read some of the comments. I'm not going to give any names to some of these comments. They're just comments. So I'll read them randomly. But check out the comments below for that video. Link in the description below on not living without refrigeration. First one. Americans put everything in the fridge. Did you know that people in France keep their cheeses like Camembert and Brie cheeses rather on a warm windowsill than in the fridge? It's cultured and the flavor gets even better. So true. I love Brie. Brie is one of my favorite cheeses. I love it. And yeah, if you keep it out, the flavor actually gets better. It's already cultured. It's mint. It was made wonderful by not being refrigerated. Interesting. Yes, you can keep, in that video I talk about things you can keep on the counters. Things like eggs, things like butter. They won't spoil right away, but we have to put everything in the fridge. Everything in the fridge. It's just ridiculous. You don't have to do that. People I grew up with in a third world home in America. It's called a communal house after high school. We ate pizza 2 days old just sitting on the counter without consequence hundreds of times. Now I eat leftovers 2 days old left in my backpack with a cool liner at work without consequence as an adult. Being able to handle a small amount of toxins can be a superpower and must be developed. This is true. And this is one of the reasons why, have you ever heard about someone who goes to a different place and they drink the water from that place? This is before really all of the chemicals that they put into your municipal water supplies nowadays. But a man who would go from one place to another. You ever go to Mexico and they say, don't drink the water? Do the Mexicans get sick drinking the water? No, they drink the water, unless they're used to not drinking the water. But there are people in the villages who use the town well, or the well system that they have, the pumps that they have there, and they drink the water and they're fine. Why? Because they have developed an immune system that handles whatever bacteria, usually a coliform bacteria of some sort, in the water supply that just they don't have an issue with it. There is a guy, and I don't know if it's true or not, but there was a guy recently who told me that the Vikings, who would basically go on trips, and starting from the youngest to the oldest on the ship, they would all spit and rinse their mouth out with some water and spit it in a bowl, and then they wash their hands with that bowl, and then the next person would do the same thing, and the same thing, and the same thing, all the way down the line to the oldest person. And they did that as a way to develop immunity to, amongst the crew, and it made their sailing much more healthy, because it's very well known that sailing ships back in the day would have the crews oftentimes would suffer from all kinds of diseases and sicknesses. And so the Vikings did this. I don't know if it's true. Leave a comment below if you let me know if you've heard this topic, story or not. But it sounds interesting, and I totally believe it. But yeah, it's okay to eat leftovers. People today don't eat leftovers. They look at leftovers and they're like, how old is that? Oh, a day. I bought that yesterday, 2 days ago. I just don't know if I can eat that. What? The waste in our country is phenomenal. The amount of waste in this country. If it all goes away and you still refuse to eat 2-day-old food. My mother lived through the Depression. Nothing got thrown out. Nothing. She had the smallest refrigerator containers you ever saw. At the end of the week, we would have a goop slop supper. Everything went into the pot, along with maybe a little bit of added meat or vegetables, and maybe spaghetti sauce or some other concoction to bind all of the leftovers together. We could take what we wanted, but we better eat what we took. Anything you left on your plate was recycled for breakfast. Seriously, it was considered a sin to waste food. Yes, that's how I was raised too. And I remember there was at least a couple times, I think, where my parents would take all the leftovers from the week and they would combine it all together into a pot. And if I had this memory in my mind of that happening, that's why I saved that comment. Where, yeah, you'd take the leftovers from the week, throw it onto a pot, maybe add a couple other things, and that was dinner. And whatever you took from whatever dinner on your plate, you better eat. Because the saying goes, there's starving people in China, don't you know? You better eat that. And so wasting food was like a sin. Yes, absolutely. Anything you left on your plate was recycled for breakfast. We have it so good today. We have it so good. And it's because we've had it so good for so long, if it's all taken away from us, many of you, and many of the people you know, won't know how to deal with it. Next comment. This is a long one, but it's a good one. Last summer, my son got married out in the country in Texas. The bride's room was a cabin next to a barn hall. We had fresh fruits, assorted snacks, and things like donuts, etc. on the big coffee table for us to graze on during the day. We were there super early, so my son had a gourmet bacon cheeseburger and fries delivered for me to make sure I ate lunch. I only ended up taking a bite of that giant, delicious, expensive burger because it was too messy for such a hectic day. That bride's room was freezing cold, especially after the wedding started and no one was going in and out of the cabin. After the celebration, I went back to gather my things, expecting to take my burger home to eat because I ended up not really eating all that much that day. When I got there, one of the bridesmaids had already thrown it away, including all of the also expensive fresh fruit that was in plastic containers with lids, the donuts, and any open packages of cookies or candy because it had been out all day. I was shocked. Who throws out grapes or strawberries because they were not refrigerated? Especially in a climate-controlled room that was freezing, no less. Or donuts, or cookies, or candy. A lot of people don't know, but sugar is a preservative. If it has sugar in it, especially the amount of sugar it takes to make candy, cookies, and donuts, it's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. Sugar is a preservative. The caterer also threw out everything, ! Not just what was on the buffet table, but the stuff in the kitchen still in the warming ovens too. Heat kills bacteria, don't you know? I don't know if that mid to late 20s bridesmaid told them to or not, but I think she might have because no one took any food home with them. There was lots of waste because this young woman was paranoid. paranoid. We have a lot of paranoia in this country today. She even bagged up all of the trash and removed it. No one's going to get any of these donuts. I'm taking this trash with me. She was not required to clean the room, just take her things. That was a lot of money in the garbage. I wish I would have finished my burger out of the trash, and maybe the other stuff, any of it wasn't destroyed. But I wasn't going to dumpster dive at my son's wedding. Probably a good thing. What's she doing in the dumpster? She's getting her burger back. I hope someone took that food before it got to the dumpster. It was such a waste. Absolute insanity. Insanity. What is wrong with you people? Okay, next comment. I was one of those who put everything in the fridge. I'd have a mental breakdown. For real, my husband has taught me better, but bless his heart, I'm still working on it. I'm definitely going to push myself harder on that. Thank you. Oh, people like her really do, in fact, exist. Anyway, so that's the comments, and I find it amazingly hilarious that all this stuff, the comments of that video are rich. Go and check them out and read them for yourself. That was just a few sampling of them, but good comments on that. Over 3,000 comments on that video now, guys. So anyway, the other day I put up a video up asking for people to send me stories at anamericanhomestead.com, stories@anamericanhomestead.com, or go to our contact page on our website, anamericanhomestead.com, and send me stories of things that you are witnessing yourself around and in the economy. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there going around right now proclaiming doom and gloom, and I have been one of these people for a long time who says, listen, we're $30 trillion in debt. And there's an old saying that a debt that can't be paid won't be. And personal, business, and government debt is through the roof, have never been at higher levels than what we're seeing right now. A debt that can't be paid won't be. Okay? A debt that can't be paid won't be. It's not going to get paid. This piper will not be paid, and we're going to have to deal with the consequences of that piper not being paid. And we're going to witness the collapse of the economy. Every time throughout history when government goes off a gold standard or a silver standard or a precious metal standard, whatever way that is, the fiat always fails. Always throughout history, never fails not to fail. It will fail this time too. And so we are overdue from the usual time between 50 and 60 years, and we went off the gold standard in 1971. We are right due for a collapse, and it's happening. It's what you see all throughout history. And so I've asked people to send me information. If you're seeing stuff out there that's concerning in the economy, send me the information, businesses, personal, whatever you see. But it's stuff that you see. Send me that information. A couple people sent in some stuff. In mid-Michigan, a lawn tractor dealer can't get parts or even new products. And because they can't get parts for their current products that they sell or new products that they sell, they're already considering layoffs and closing down possibly completely. We're seeing a lot of this. A lot of businesses are closing. Five Guys Burger and Fries have filed bankruptcy. That restaurant, maybe you guys have eaten there. I've never eaten there that I remember. I don't eat out a lot. I hate eating out. Americans eat out way too much. I hate eating out. I love cooking. And it's much more healthier too. Also, Revlon was in the news recently. Revlon has filed for bankruptcy. A lot of companies are doing layoffs. Wells Fargo, a lot of the mortgage companies, Rocket Mortgage, some of these big lenders are already announcing their layoffs. So it's happening. We're getting into a deflationary. We were inflationary collapse. Now we're going to get into a deflationary collapse, and that pendulum will swing back hard to the inflationary collapse. When all these companies start failing and the layoffs start happening and people are without work, there's no jobs to be had, because right now there's lots of jobs to be had. There's wanted help signs on everything. But those companies are going to start closing. And lots of companies who don't need help are closing because of what's happened in our economy. And when that happens, you're going to have that deflationary collapse that we're swinging to right now. We're getting ready to, because of the interest rate hikes, a deflationary collapse. That pendulum, the government will come in, print a bunch more money to save everybody because they'll have to. It's the way it always happens. And that deflationary pendulum will swing back hard to the inflationary side, and we will have massive hyperinflation. And just because they're doing the interest rate hikes doesn't mean they're stopping to print the money. They're still printing the money. They're slowing down how fast they're printing the money, but they're still printing the money. It's crazy. Absolute insanity. Hyperinflation is a mathematical certainty at this point. Okay, title company. This is for a title company. Someone sent in. I've been in the business for a long time. Savings. They've seen the savings and loan crash. The '08 MLS inventory is double in 1 month time. Rates are back in the sixes. Just after a few months ago, you had to have really crappy credit to get that high in the sixes. But yeah, interest rates are slowing down. Are slowing all of the housing market down, and it's not like it used to be just a few months ago. Absolutely not. If you have a house and you want to put it on the market, there's very low inventory. Now is the time to do it. But don't think you're going to get the same prices that people were getting just 2 months ago. Not going to happen. If the real estate agent comes in and does comps and bases the comps on 2 months of sales in your area, and they do the comps right now, there's no way you're going to get it. I would probably take about 20 grand off that price, at least, and then consider, if you get it, consider it a gift. Consider it a gift, because you have no idea what's about to happen. People like Dave Ramsey, who's a complete and total moron when it comes to investing. He's a great genius when it comes to getting out of debt. But when it comes to investing, Dave Ramsey is an idiot. And he's doubling down on, hey, the market's going to be great. The housing market's going to go great. In fact, now is a good time to get into the housing market. Insanity. Throughout most of history, when people come into money, what they do is they upgrade from their smaller house to a bigger house, and they sell their smaller house. But because money was so fluent everywhere, it was so easy to come by, the times were economically so good, people didn't upgrade from a small house to a bigger house. They kept their small house and upgraded to a second home, and sometimes even a third home. And you have all these people who have 2 and 3 homes. Some of you guys, leave a comment below if you know someone like this. When times get tough and their portfolios are getting wrecked on Wall Street and they're looking for ways to get some cash so that they can maintain their current lifestyle, they will start selling off that second and third home. And inventory will go through the roof and prices will go down into the toilet. Now is the time, in my opinion, I'm not a financial advisor, now is the time to get out of all things paper and all things real estate and then buy when there's blood in the streets. That old saying, buy when there's blood in the streets, because there will be very soon blood in the streets. A farmer sent in this. He says dry beans are not being planted at all this year, and he sent me a link. And he's a farmer himself, and so, but he's showing me evidence of this happening. There's a lot of fields when I was up in Ohio recently, and they're just not being planted. They're full of weeds. And some of the more, I think, farmers who are paying attention are starting to plant wheat because they've read the news and they're actually starting to, they realize that because of the wheat shortages, because of Ukraine and Russia, other countries are trying to find wheat on the open market, and that's drawing a lot of the wheat and raising prices for us. So farmers know that there's going to be a higher price paid for wheat this year. And so I'm seeing, where I never saw any wheat planted last year in Ohio, and I'm seeing wheat planted in Ohio. Didn't see that before. Maybe they used to do it. I just didn't see it. But I'm seeing it in other places too. People are reporting that there's a lot of wheat being planted. It's because people are paying attention and being like, oh, I can get good prices for my wheat if I plant wheat this year. So listen, if you got some firsthand accounts, stories that you want to share, you can go to stories@anamericanhomestead.com. Email me at stories@anamericanhomestead.com, or just go to our contact page, anamericanhomestead.com, on that website, and send me the information. Eyes on data. Don't send me videos, don't send me links to articles, send me eyes on data, what you're seeing, and I'll consider putting it on a video, and we'll talk more about stuff like that. So, crazy times we're living in. Hold on to your hats. We haven't even got started in the first inning yet. That's just my opinion. All right. See you next time on the Homestead. Bye. Hey guys, I'm happy to introduce an American Homestead sponsor, Zervita Zeal. Now, first off, I only accept sponsors from products that I use and believe in. My family uses Zeal mainly because we want to ensure a healthy immune system. You see, it's made up of only whole food concentrates and includes no artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives. The included sweetener is all natural from fruit and the stevia leaf. It's gluten-free, it's vegan, and it's kosher. In 2018, my youngest son was involved in a bike accident that resulted in the surgical removal of his spleen, and that's an important part of his immune system. And because we live on a farm, you can guess that having a healthy immune system for our family is very important. Some of the included ingredients are beetroot, chicory root, turmeric, moringa, blueberries, cranberry, goji berry, milk thistle, ginseng, alfalfa, broccoli, and so much more. It's these natural ingredients that can easily be made into a powerful and tasty drink that my family can make and feel good about. So sign up and give it a try today Every purchase you make goes to help the homestead so that we can continue to make great homesteading videos for you. Link is in the description below. Go ahead, give it a try. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.